James Shaughnessy IV, welcome to WRAL.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are coming into this race as a younger candidate against other candidates who have a lot more experience in politics and in community organizing. What makes you the candidate that people should be voting for?
Well, the mayor race is technically nonpartisan, but we all know that all the other candidates have a partisan affiliation, whether Republican or Democrat. There's one Republican running. There's 4 other Democrats. Sorry, 3. And with that independence, I have a lot more mobility when working with other partners. I don't have to play the political game of, oh, if I let this city or this mayor or, win, like get that what policy they want ahead and makes them look good, it's not the other side that's winning. It's just Americans winning. It's just Raleigheites that are winning. And there's been a lot of problems, not just like at a local level, but we see it on a national level too, where good policy gets brought up and then the conversations happen behind closed doors and it gets thrown out because they don't want the other side winning. Pick any issue, and we see that changing in Congress. And even on a local level, we've seen that the GA won't even want to work with a lot of Raleigh City Council because they're all registered as Democrats, and I don't have that problem. I can have a fresh start with any person I'm coming in to work with, and I feel like a lot more people need to be open to that idea about having a more people-focused sense of politics instead of party-centered focus.
Affordable housing, a huge issue in Raleigh. We've seen drips of progress, but affordability remains a big issue. What are you going to do to tackle this problem?
One big thing is that we need to build a lot more, and we need to do it a lot quicker. Raleigh's built a great city, and a lot of people found out, and they all decided to move here, and we have struggled to keep up with the demand. A lot of that demand has been spreading out into like the Raleigh municipal area, which means like our job growth has grown considerably, but our population has not grown to the same degree. We have 750,000 people that come in for jobs every day, but we only have 460,000 residents about. So we need to open up to have a higher tax base. And one thing I would like to do is, build up more mixed-use development, making it more affordable for, renters, or even have condos, have that conversation about opening up more equity for younger people, because houses are getting more expensive here, and I don't think that price is going to go down, especially with the confined area that we already have, and as well as like having that retail space on the first floor as part of mixed use. You get a strong tax base from sales tax, and it offers more mobility or less mobility for cars, because if you have a grocery store that's underneath your apartment or the place that you're living in, you don't need to go drive anywhere. It's right there, and it offers more accessibility to maybe lower income families who maybe can only afford one car or they can't afford a car at all. And building the public transit system around those mixed use developments, it offers more mobility for everybody, not just like lower income, but if you're a college student, you can live off campus and have more accessibility to maybe going downtown and having fun with your friends, or possibly like, it's so expansive on what you can do with that, and just increasing that would be really, really big thing.
Your website says, my team and I are developing our own take on the modern hamlet that could change our community. Can you explain this?
So if you drive around Raleigh, you notice that there are a lot of strip malls, and it is the worst waste of real estate I've ever seen in my life. And Europe and other high dense cities, they don't have this as much. So it's going to basically be the same thing. You're going to have that strip mall, but above it's just going to be apartments. Imagine an apartment above the regular food line. Like that accessibility to that food will decrease food deserts and make it more accessible. And just having that conversation about we need more mixed use. It's not like a European thing. It can be an American thing too. I mean, even in California, Costco built affordable housing above their warehouse because that was the only way that they could open up a Costco. So there are avenues to get this done. We just got to be bringing that to the forefront of the conversation.
Let's talk about downtown revitalization. There are pockets of really interesting places to walk around and explore, and with a lot of energy, but they're connected by areas that really don't have a lot going on. So I'm curious, what will you do to make a city a place where there is character and energy throughout, not just disparate?
I think one thing that we have to talk about revitalizing downtown is safety. I don't go downtown with my fiance because it just doesn't feel safe to us. We'll go maybe once or twice a year, but it doesn't feel as safe as it used to when I was growing up. And so we have to, even recently, like we have purchased new private security to keep us safe, which shows a lot bigger problem within the city than it should. and opening it up to make it safer and more enticing to young people is a very big step in revitalizing that downtown space. We talked about people talk about moving Red Hat and how that's going to hurt downtown, and one thing that we've got to do is we got to keep that in there. We have to make sure that it stays in order to make sure that these businesses can stay afloat, because that's a big part of their business comes from those concert days when a lot of young people come downtown and they need a bite to eat or want to go get a drink afterwards, or go shop at the boutiques right before the show.
Let's stay on the topic of public safety. Looking through your website, you talk a lot about helping people with mental health challenges. You want to expand the Acorns unit with the Raleigh Police Department. You want to build a mental health hospital. We already have Holly Hill Hospital, but you want to build another one. Curious, do you want more funding for patrol officers?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest failures that Raleigh has is that we are a capital city, but we're not the best paid for our police. You can go get more money at Cary or Mooresville or Wake Forest, and you're not going to be on as many calls, and you have a lot higher quality of life. So it amazes me how we are the capital city, the house of the North Carolina General Assembly and the governor's mansion, and yet we don't have we're not attracting the best talent. Like, we need to put more money into it. And we could possibly talk to the General Assembly and the state government saying, hey, because we're the capital city, we have a lot more responsibility, because either we're hosting more political events, we're bringing in foreign diplomats, we're bringing more business to talk to the governor or the General Assembly and things like that. We should have a higher standard, and bringing that higher standard is really important, which can help us with the problems with policing that we've seen, or problems with pay, because if you increase the pay, you increase the standard, and we can entice more young, hardworking people to think about it as a career.
Do we need more police officers?
We're short about 1,000 personnel, not officers, but like 1,000 officers and civilian people,
personnel.
Civilian personnel inside the department in order to help with other things, and we've fallen behind on that. Like, when Raleigh was originally was founded, when Raleigh has not grown their police department very much. And the only reason it hasn't grown very much is because of the way that the funding works and how they can open vacancies. And so they don't get more funding until, they can't entice more people because it costs more funding. So they try to keep it right where they're at, instead of coming up with an honest conversation with the city council saying, hey, this is the problems we are facing. We need this many more officers every day. And we're going to be losing a lot of retirees soon, because a lot of older police officers will either move to go get a better job, or they're on the end of their career.
And you think you're the candidate that is going to be able to compel City Council to find that funding and to rally that kind of support? Why?
Absolutely. The one thing is just communication with our not just our local partners, but our state partners too. Like I said, the General Assembly is right there, and I feel like having that conversation with them and saying, hey, we keep you safe every day. You need to work with us in order to make sure that we have enough personnel to keep you safe, but as well as our other citizens. Like I said before, there's 750,000 people coming into Raleigh every day to work. We don't have a department that can deal with 750,000 people. So we're taking a brunt of the load for protection, while a lot of other municipal governments don't have to deal with that, mainly because their job base is not as large. So we need to open up that dialogue and conversation, and we need to make it happen.
You want to restructure zoning laws to encourage more development. We talked about development a little while ago, development from contractors. What's an example of the existing zoning laws being too restrictive? A
lot of the areas in downtown or surrounding downtown are only R1 or single-use residential, which it made sense when we were developing back in the 40s. I mean, I grew up in a house, I lived in a house in downtown that was built in the 1940s, but it makes no sense to have that there when the village district is right next to it. There should be more development in our heart of the city, because there's NCSU that's right there, there's Shaw University right there, there's a lot of ample jobs for low-income residents right there to have service work or municipal work. A lot of our bus drivers have to start their day at Moore Square bus station. A lot of our police officers have to start their day at the police station, because we don't have a drive home, what is it? Where they take car home program. So increasing more residential housing so that we can get more of our workers inside the city is very, very vital. And with the way that the zoning is around downtown, there's so many areas that are just have gotten forgotten about, either because they want to protect it because of their old historical homes, which I admire, but not every home is historical, and for thousands of years, people have been building on top of each other. And we have to keep, the Pope House. That is a historical home, the first black doctor in, in North Carolina, and there's a few other homes as well. But we don't need every home to be done. We've seen that developers will buy these historical homes and then get an exception to bulldoze it and build this brand new modern house, which is fine, but it would be better if it was more mixed-use development and more dense.
I just want to clarify what you're saying. So you would like to see fewer single-family homes and more developed condo buildings, apartment buildings, mixed-use buildings. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What does that do to gentrification and to pushing out people who have been living in those homes for a really long time and may not be able to afford these new developments?
One thing that I would like to do is keep Raleigh families that have been there for generations in Raleigh and in their homes that they are at. They are they're a cornerstone of our community.
So how do you do both?
Well, one thing that you can do is open up CLMs, and then building along the new BRT line is a big thing that we could do. While not doing it all at once, we do it in a natural way so that we can build more naturally, and so it doesn't force people out. And if we build more, it makes it more affordable to everybody else. I don't know any area in Raleigh where we can build a new single-family neighborhood, but I know plenty of areas that could use more, apartment dwellings or condos.
All right, so setting issues aside, now I have to ask you a wardrobe question, because we talked about it earlier as we were getting your microphone on. Tell us about your tie.
I've worn this tie like this since I've been working in hospitality.
It's not all the way out. It's tucked in.
It's tucked in because you can't work with the tie in your face. You tuck it in to get work done, and I plan on doing that. I want to make it happen. I want to make sure that Raleigh is progressing forward and working really, really hard to make sure that we are an accepting community and building enough so that it's more accessible and making the future brighter, especially for younger people.
James Shaughnessy IV, appreciate your time.
Thank you.